Hi everybody, I'm here taking a look at the results of our Unit 1 quiz, and what I wanted to do is show you kind of the back end of what happens when we give students an assessment. So this is relevant to your how section on the assessments you're creating for your assessment inventory. What I do after this assessment, I deliver this one online so specifically so that I can really quickly make a report of the results and see which questions were missed a lot, which ones weren't. I could do this on paper by kind of keeping a tally mark of how many people put each option using a spreadsheet or something like that. But delivering quizzes like this online generates an automatic report, which makes it really, really nice for me. So as far as the first 20 questions, the multiple choice ones, this one gives me a really good understanding of where you guys are with regard to some misconceptions and things like that. So what I can do is actually go through each of these questions. So here's question 1 about the hippocampus, and I can see that there are just a couple of lingering misconceptions. One of them is about the role of the hippocampus in long-term memory. I tried to catch that in everybody's notes, that it's an early place, but really it's about the formation of memory, not the storage of memory there in the hippocampus. And then we know that it is associated with emotions because it's so close to the amygdala, but it's not the actual organ that's generating the emotional response, right? So I can see most of you got that correct. I might just have a couple of students that I need to check in with and make sure that we're doing well. So this is with regard to that how prompt number 1. How am I collecting evidence and making sense of what the students have learned? And I can go through and look at each question and see where maybe some misconceptions are existing, so that I get a picture of how you guys are doing with the content. So I'm seeing that on most of these, we just had maybe one person who might have been struggling with the content just a little bit on each of these questions, and that may be a different person on each of these questions too. So it'll be my job then to go back and check. Looks like everybody understood what brain-based teaching looks like, which is awesome. And everybody understands what metacognition looks like, which is great. These are the questions I care most about, these application types of questions. Little bit here with regard to what that actually, the self-regulated learning looks like in practice. Remember that analyzing the task happens at the very beginning as we kind of figure out what's involved in this task and how would I help myself be successful on it. What are some goals that I want to set? What plans do I want to make? So analyzing the task comes at the very, very beginning. Here we're seeing an example of them monitoring their progress. All right, looks like there are just a few people that maybe didn't realize that all of these are outcomes of metacognition and self-regulation. So now you know. And now I'm getting into a couple of questions that I can see students struggled with a little bit more. So I have 4 people that went for the distractor, that crystallized intelligence is our ability to apply what we have learned to new contexts. I can see why you would have fallen for that one, not fallen for it, but why you would have chosen that one. And what we want to make sure we're doing in these quizzes is going with the best answer, because sometimes there will be more than one that could be correct, and this is true in the praxis as well. There may be more than one that could be correct, but there is a best answer. So in this case, we know that crystallized intelligence is that overall pool of knowledge that you have. Whether or not you apply that to new contexts, that can get into fluid intelligence a little bit because we're having to adapt to this new circumstance. So that's a little bit blurrier than this particular definition. So you always want to go with what the best answer is, okay? All right, I will address individual concerns at a later date, or on each of your feedback individually. So that's the second one. I will go in second prompt on the how section. I will go into each of your quizzes and give individual feedback about what you missed. But at this point, I'm looking for the patterns, okay? So this question regarding culture specific, this is the one we struggled with the most. I'm seeing only 75% of you answered this one correctly. So that's obviously something that I should probably reteach, and I'll do that right now. So we'll also talk about it a little bit more in our next unit, but if we look at the commonalities across cultures with regard to intelligence, everybody values being able to apply your knowledge to new situations, learning things quickly, and adapting readily. So these are things that we see really commonly across cultures. Academic classroom activities, that's the one we see least frequently in cultural definitions of intelligence. So most value picking things up quickly, adapting, and using their prior knowledge. So those things we would say are less likely to be culture specific than the academic classroom activities. Okay? All right, again, individual ones I'll address. You've done well on most of the rest of this, so that is excellent. I see a little bit of misconception here with regard to internal versus external locus of control. Stan is thanking his friend for helping him study, says that he could never have passed the test without help. So he's attributing his success to this to his friend, not to himself, if that makes sense. So we look for who is he saying caused him to be successful, and that is an external source, not himself. Okay? All right, so again, with this one, you'll notice a lot of times when I do choose all that apply, it's all of them, and basically I'm just trying to teach you that all of these help students feel a sense of love and belonging. That's it. Okay, so I will go in individually at this point and give you feedback on what you missed. And then specifically on your essays as well. And I'm going to do a similar kind of process on your essays. I can't generate a report like this for the essays, but what I'll do is I'll go through all of them and make some notes off to the side about, feedback specifically for you, but also notes for myself where I'm saying, all right, here are some trends and patterns that I'm seeing so that I know what to reteach or where to intervene with individual students. That then can inform my instruction, which is the third prompt in the how section of your assessment inventory. I will have to really think about how am I going to integrate these misconceptions that I saw in the test back into my instruction. Is it enough to just do this quick video, or am I going to need to go in and really do something more substantial? Okay? All right, so that's how I go about reviewing an assessment. If I do something that's multiple choice like this, it's really easy to do it online and generate a report, and then I can see what my patterns are really easily. If I'm doing something that's more open-ended like the essay, then I need to go in and make notes and look for those patterns and trends myself as I'm analyzing the work. That's the kind of stuff I want to see in your assessment inventory items. And that's the kind of thing that you should be doing as you're giving assessments in your classrooms.